everybody. I'm Riki Stamps, Director of Programs and Events, and I have Faye Edmondson with me today. She's been a resident of Butterfield since 2013. Faye is also the chairperson of the Garden Committee, and she's done a wonderful job helping gardeners at Butterfield Trail Village organize their gardening spots, and they have regular meetings. And the greatest thing about Butterfield Gardens, Faye, are that our residents share their produce with other residents. And a lot of times they'll have a sale, a very mini sale, but all of those proceeds go to the Butterfield Trail Village Foundation, which is absolutely wonderful. It has contributed so many opportunities for residents when these funds are spent on other projects. So Faye, first of all, you look amazing. You're so cute in your hot pink and your hot green. I love it.
Thank you.
Faye, tell me a little bit tell me what gardening means to you.
Gardening is a relaxing, even though it's hard work, it's relaxing. It gets your mind off of what's going on in the world, or even at Butterfield sometimes. It helps us live a lot longer because we are relaxed. And if and when, since my husband passed away 3 years ago, I don't get depressed because I know where he is, but I do get dejected and bored sometimes. And I'll be talking to a son who's my youngest, and you know how bossy they can get sometimes. He said, "Mom, go get some dirt under your fingernails." So it tells you what digging in the dirt, the soil, can do for you as a person. And it's so wonderful to share what we grow with those who cannot do this, because those of us who are down here are very blessed to be able to do what we do day in and day out for others, and it's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. I was looking a few things up this morning about gardening, and I believe there are 13 references to gardens in the Bible, and that just blesses my heart. And I know it's just, you feel closer to God when you're in a garden. I mean, literally, it's His work, it's His blessing of rain and good soil. And the thing about it is, at Butterfield Trail Village, residents have been gardening since we opened in '86. We originally just had the raised gardens that so many of you have seen and enjoyed close to our lodge. But things just kept growing and growing, and all of a sudden people wanted garden plots, larger areas, and that location was different than it is now. It used to be over closer to the assisted living unit, and once the assisted living unit was built, we moved to this area. And in a minute you'll see some more still shots of the garden to see how large it is down here. How many gardeners do we have?
I think we have either 15 to 20, you never know, because some people have wives who are still working with them, others are just doing it themselves. But to me, one of the most gorgeous things about being down here is you can plant what you want. If it's flowers, you plant them. If it's vegetables, you plant them. We are not allowed to put trees in here, and that's a good thing. We have an orchard back on the south side that people can put a tree. I think they can. I haven't checked into that because I don't want trees. But the thing that I do is, with the flowers, is arrange them and give them to people who are sick in my church or either here. And then I also, you want to tell them about that?
Listen, I have to brag on Faye. She is such an amazing gardener, and she has the most beautiful flowers. And this lady has arranging skills that could put almost every florist in Northwest Arkansas under if she opened a business. And she has shared her arrangements with the residents for several years. But right now, during these times when COVID has us down and out, you can walk to the main lobby, and there's always a beautiful arrangement that Faye has made for us, and we appreciate that so much.
That has been such fun, and it takes me back to when I was much, much younger and in a garden club. And a lot of the people who are from Springdale remember Dorothy Morsani and different ones who were in that garden club. I was in a garden club with Henry's mother, so that tells you a lot about me, but also where Earlene gets her desire to do things too. But sometimes our medical things keep us from doing what we really want to do. But I've been very blessed in that respect too.
So Faye, tell me what you are growing this year. What are your particular items?
Well, right now it's purple hull peas and corn, but earlier I had green beans, I had lettuce, radishes, and onions, but I'm also venturing into cantaloupe and watermelon this year, and I'm so excited. Have cantaloupes that are about this big, but they're still green as gourds, but they will ripen, and I'll be patient and have to let them ripen on the vine. But it's just more fun because I grow and I do a lot of corn.
How many ears of corn did you put up yesterday?
Well, I put up 36. I cut off 36 ears of corn, and it's almost like whole kernel, but not like that. Those of you who are older remember that your mother fried corn before we had microwaves. We cut it off the cob and we fried it in a skillet with a lot of butter, and it was so good with tomatoes and stuff. But right now, I just cut it off the cob, and I learned this from Lloyd and Dorothy Seaton, that you don't have to cook it and get it hot. You just cut it off and stick it in the freezer in packages. And I had 8 packages out of that 36 ears, so that was wonderful.
Well, you be sure and let us know when you're serving that. We may all pop in for a bite.
Well, I don't really eat it myself. I do it for my children and my nieces and nephews. I have a niece who has her son could not have children, and they adopted 2 little South Korean boys. And those little Korean boys, which eat their food out of their hands, she sent me a picture of them eating that corn out of their hands. And so now I do a lot for them because they're just precious. They're precious. So I do a lot for my children and put it in a freezer, and they come and get it. But I don't know whether they'll be able to come get it this year or not. I don't know what I'm going to do with it if they don't.
Hello. We'll take care of it, won't we?
Okay.
Well, I am so impressed with the other residents and their gardens. Bob Hendricks has a huge strawberry patch, and he's just about harvested all he can.
Yeah.
He was with us this morning and explained that he went through, picked a few, but those are almost done. And that's why we're going with this interview now, which in actual real time is July, and you'll be watching this particular video in August. But if we'd waited till August, most everything would have been spent, and we wouldn't be able to enjoy the beautiful flowers. Now there are some fall things that everyone will be planting. Tell us a little bit what some plans are for that.
I have an area where I grew some horticulture beans, which are like a pinto bean, but you pick them while they're still green and shell them. And that area I've picked and already pulled up that. I'm going to plant some purple top turnips for Corey, one of the horticulture guys who does a lot. He said, I give him all things, but he said, Miss Faye, my wife would like some turnips and turnip green. So I've got the seed, and I'm going to plant them August the 1st. I learned this a long time ago from a neighbor out on Wagon Wheel Road. He said, you've got to plant your turnips August the 1st. Whether it's Sunday or not, you plant them on August the 1st. So Faye's going to plant turnips for Corey on August the 1st. It's Corey's wife.
That's awesome. And that's another thing. Residents are so generous to share their produce with families and even with staff and other residents. Of course, if you care to support the foundation, you can always find fresh produce, mostly on Fridays, I believe.
No, it's every day
right
year.
Now during our circumstances. And that table is located between the popcorn machine near the south wing and the general store. And most of that is payable by honor system, and we just appreciate you supporting the foundation in that format. Well, I am so excited that our own Chef Memo and Chef Henry, have agreed to stand out here in the overcast heat to prepare for us a meal with produce from the residents' gardens. And Faye's provided some wonderful produce, as well as Bob Bender and Deb Staniford. Thank you so much. And so we'll be going over to the chef's table here in just a few minutes, and we'll be interviewing Memo and Henry, and then we'll wind up with a final platter of delicious prepared fresh produce, and we'll show you a presentation here. So thank you so much, Faye. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, this is Chef Memo and Chef Henry right here. We're here at the Butterfield Garden using some of your local produce, and we have a nice treat for you. And as we go along, we're going to tell you what we're preparing. So here we're making a chimichurri sauce. It's going to go on top of our steak. Steak is not part of your garden, but we need something to go with your garden. We got some garlic, some jalapeno peppers, some little, it looks like little peppers. I don't know.
Little chili peppers.
Little chili peppers, cilantro, parsley, and we brought in some pink peppercorns.
Pink peppercorns.
We brought in some pink peppercorns. And he's gonna go ahead and mash this up in a mortar with a little bit of olive oil.
This is going to be the time that I actually cut my finger.
Over here I got some purple holes. We're going to make the corn like a some purple holes in corn bruschetta. We're going to put that over a little bit of some toasted bread. And this we're just going to toast up in a skillet. This is kind of like a take of a Mexican corn on the cob. So we got some cotija cheese that's going to go on top of this. We're going to add some avocado mayonnaise and just kind of spice it up a little bit. And we're going to put that on top of the toast. chimichurri. What do we got here?
We got cilantro, basil, parsley, some pink peppercorns, a little olive oil and lime juice, and fresh garlic, and a little salt and pepper mix, and purple onions. Just get that all muddled together. I think that's the right word.
Here in the corn bruschetta, we're gonna do, we got the purple holes, we got the tomatoes, we'll grab our corn on the cob, just kind of take all the little hairs off. We're just gonna shave it right off the cob. Add a little bit of jalapeno to this just to give it a little bit of kick.
You want some chili?
Yeah. We're going to saute this up in a little bit of butter before we decide to add the mayonnaise. We're just going to season this up a little bit.
What's in your seasoning?
Our seasoning has some thyme, rosemary, salt, pepper, a little bit of the seasoned salt, some paprika, and a little bit of chili powder and garlic powder. Here it's sizzle. Once you started hearing that sizzling sound, it means your pan's hot enough to go ahead and add your white wine. You want to put enough just in there to cover the whole entire pan, but not too much, until this wine kind of evaporates. So that's just enough for everything that's kind of covered. Not covered, but just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. While we're waiting on that, we're going to go ahead and turn this down a little bit so it doesn't overcook. And we're going to go ahead and season our bread. For the bread, I'm going to use the same mayonnaise we're going to use on the recipe. Just going to go ahead and just grab this avocado mayonnaise. So we're going to toast our bread the same way with the mayonnaise. Instead of using butter or oil, this gives it a nice rich flavor. I actually prefer this better when seasoning my bread. I mean, it's egg and butter, so egg and avocado oil. Alright. You, let me clean off that screw real quick.
Do what? Yeah.
Start to roll. Start on it. Okay. So with the fat side down, we're gonna go and just grill the top of the bottom of the bread, and just get that nice and toasty, and then we'll flip it around again. corn is starting to look really water and all of it evaporating here pretty quickly. So we want to let everything evaporate, but the corn itself, the kernels are turning a lot more yellow. The peas are turning more green. So you'll see more color coming out of them. That's when you know it's pretty well safe to eat. Like, not safe to eat, but I guess that's when you know it's pretty good. That's what the texture you want to have that. So the next thing over here is we're going to go ahead and take the corn right off of there. And we're just going to go ahead and add the corn back to your bowl. Let that cool down for just a bit. And we're going to add some basil, some Thai basil, some parsley, cilantro, and these are little chive blossoms. I really like these a lot. They have a big punch. So these are either chive blossoms or garlic blossoms, so it'll give you this nice, really powerful kick to it at the end. All you're doing is just cut the little flowers off. Now, we're just going to add that to the very top at the very end. So it's kind of like a Mexican street corn, but we're adding some of your local ingredients here, some of your grown vegetables. You're just kind of doing a little twist to that Mexican corn on the cob, off the cob. Great. Very good. Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and mix our mayonnaise in first. We're gonna add some tortilla cheese. You can use Parmesan if you wanted to. This is traditional what we use, so go ahead and mix that in there. And don't be shy on the cheese, because everybody likes cheese. And that'll thicken it up back up again a little bit. Yeah, that smells good. So for the bruschetta, we got the corn ready. We're gonna add some thinly slices of tomatoes, just to give it a little extra. And I wouldn't cover the whole thing, because if you put it right on top, it's just gonna slide right off. So just put these at the edge. We're gonna grab our corn and corn bruschetta. And this is a nice, good little appetizer to start off with. It's really rich. It's really strong. And if you don't watch it, you can overeat this stuff real quickly. And we're gonna finish it with a little bit of parsley greens, the chive blossoms. There we go. Bam. And then we'll do some individual photos afterwards. I'll save this for later, so throw on top of the stage or something.
What are those?
Big T-bones. Big old T-bones.
here we're gonna make a blackberry gastrique. This is gonna go over our little dessert. Our dessert's gonna be a nice little something new. It's a nice little treat. I think y'all will enjoy something different. So hopefully, give it a shot. We'll give you the recipe when it gets out there. So pretty simple. We're just gonna start off blackberries in there, white wine.
Enjoy.
We're gonna add about 3 tablespoons of sugar. And a little secret, a little limoncello. This will just give it this nice little tang to it. So I think a nice little twist.
Enjoy it? Yeah, it's great. It's an after dinner drink. It helps with digestion.
So right here we're just gonna swirl it around until the sugars dissolve, and that's pretty much it. All you gotta do is just reduce that down until it makes a nice little sauce and glaze, and we're just gonna finish it with a little bit of butter, and that's ready to go for dessert. The batter, we're gonna separate our egg yolks and egg whites. So egg whites in a bowl. It's hot out here. You wouldn't want to do this out here because you want to beat up your egg whites quite a bit. So a couple egg whites. That's all you need. Now you want something that's kind of narrow and tall because we want to make our batter from that. On this, we're going to go ahead and add our flour. This has got flour, cinnamon, sugar, and a little bit of like baking soda. Now we're gonna finish this with ginger ale. This is almost next to the last step. A little bit of ginger ale and white wine. Now we're making this batter for the squash blossoms that we're gonna deep fry. These are gonna be squash blossom like donuts or squash blossom fritters, whatever you want to call them. Same thing, it's just a fried squash blossom that's gonna be really sweet. Now this batter right now is still pretty thick. You want to make this thin enough. And yes, it's a lot of wine, but it's worth it. You want to make this thin enough that your squash blossoms won't tear up. That way, when you put them inside, so we're kind of at that stage right there. Except there's one more ingredient missing, and that's going to be the egg whites. So it's not too thin, but it's nice and light. We're going to grab our egg whites and add about a pinch of sugar. This will help it form up some peaks. Now we're not going for some stiff peaks, we're just going for some froth that's going to thin up this batter right here. Sauce is coming together right there. You can see at the bottom it's starting to glaze up pretty good. So all you want to do is just cook up the rest off. Some of these, I put a little bit of the underripe blackberries, and we're just going to go ahead and make some. These I want to keep them whole, but some of the ripe ones, just go ahead and break a few of them down. It'll really thicken up that sauce quite a bit. we're just gonna go ahead and just swerve this around and just keep cooking it down until it's nice and thick. You get a nice glaze out of that. Here we got the kebabs. We got some potatoes we found in your garden, some green peppers, zucchinis, some cherry tomatoes. These look like Roma tomatoes, so they might be a little bit bigger and then more of a grape size. Some yellow squash and red onions, and we're just gonna go ahead and grill these up. One thing you want to remember is before you skewer this, you want to soak up the skewers in water for about an hour. It'll help them from burning inside the grill, so you won't have like charcoal. They'll still burn a little bit, but less. I like salt in my sugar. You don't have to, but I like the sweetness and a little bit of saltiness. That's just a preference. That sauce is looking nice and glazy. It just kind of depends how thick you want it to. This is something they taught me in culinary school. You want to make this nappe. So what nappe is when you grab the sauce, you slide your finger right through it, and it stays. That's when it's done. I'm going to put this in a bowl. Let's save this for later. That's your Blackberry Gastrique. Once it cools down a little bit, it'll thicken up too. And add some oil to this. You want to have enough to kind of float it and deep fry it, but you don't have to have that much if you can just go ahead and like toss them around and turn them as they're deep frying. Ooh. I know what we're having for lunch.
Yeah, right. Teresa's gonna be happy.
I'm not gonna eat the whole thing.
I'm not either. I can't eat that whole thing. I won't get anything done.
So it's still pretty thin, and we're just gonna add all of our egg whites in there, and just kind of gently fold it in. You don't want to overdo it, but you do want to make sure it's mixed properly. Those egg whites are gonna help it get nice and fluffed up. Now it's kind of like it's thin, it's spongy. Kind of where we want to be at. We're gonna go ahead and test one out. We're gonna grab our squash blossoms, and we're gonna make little tiny fritters. Some of these I left the stem on them. Don't eat the stem. But it helps like grab them, and it gives them a nice better look on it too. This is like a little Italian donut. That's what I'm calling them. So a squash blossom fritter donut. You have a better name for it? You tell me. Now they're here. Go ahead, turn them around. They don't take very long at all. could stuff these with cheese if you wanted to also. Just make sure it's a firm cheese, not something loose that'll just ooze out really fast. If you wanted to stuff it with like a cream cheese, you want to add some flour first to these and then coat them in the batter. Squash blossoms, bayonets. I don't know. There's a lot of different kind of names for it. We're just gonna go ahead and pick out like three pieces. That's gonna be my biggest one that I want to showcase. Let's throw a little one in there too. Maybe some more right there. Now we're gonna go ahead and just grab some of these blackberries. This blackberry sauce. Just throw it right over the top. Don't be shy on your blackberries. That was nasty. I'm gonna decorate these with some fresh blackberries. Don't eat the flowers.
So this is our T-bone steak with a chimichurri sauce, and we forgot to add the green tomatoes, so we did that one last minute. And then our skewers with potatoes, zucchini, yellow squash, cherry tomatoes, onions, and green peppers. All of them grilled off on a bed of lettuce and what's this red one?
Swiss chard.
Swiss chard. That's what it's called.